just really want to make the point clear that I really don't think that this person is going to lead many people in their knowledge. You know, if educate means to lead, then this guy's not going to be doing much leading. Whereas this person, I believe, is really leading the knowledge. You see, you could say this person is really, like guiding the knowledge. And it's the explicit bit is the next bit. We've got to get onto the explicit bit after this. So the second part, how do we now get the students with each of the strategies to use them independently? Because I've said earlier today that we should teach only 1 or 2 strategies a term. What I've done here is use all of the strategies probably in 15 minutes. Now, there's a difference between me doing the strategies for the kids and me explicitly teaching one of them. Is this okay? And this is the second part now we're into. The second part is teaching it. And all the points that people have raised so far have been really great. You know, that Linda, Giovanna and the other people have raised. So what I'm saying with any strategy, with any of these strategies, the students first of all need to experience it. They need to be scaffolded. They need to go through that scaffolding that we've been looking at. And I mentioned earlier today as well that if I were working with a grade 6 class, say, I'd be having the children learn the new strategy. I'd be scaffolding them in text that was probably at a grade 4 or grade 5 level, so that they had enough thinking space to deal with what we're going to be doing. So I don't want the text to be too demanding. I want it to be at their independent reading level. The next thing I'd want them to do would be to do the strategy. So it might be paraphrasing. So I want them to read a sentence and then practice changing the words, saying the sentence in other ways. I want them to say what they did, that when we read that sentence, we said the sentence in other ways, and I want them to evaluate it. I want them to say that when I did that, it really helped me. So there are 2 or 3 things that I'm getting at this phase. The students being able to say what they did, and also that it was a good thing to do, that it made their job easier. At the third phase, I'm going to show them a text again. This might be a few sessions later. I'll have them practice doing this a few times. Then we'll move to the third phase where when I show them a text, I want them to tell me, before they begin to read it, I'm going to paraphrase the sentences, and when I paraphrase them, what I do is I try and say it with other words, but I say it still with the same ideas and so on. So I want them to say what they're going to do before they do it. Now, why am I wanting to bring in this saying? What are some of the reasons why I'm arguing that by doing this, we're going to get independence? I'm building the self-talk. When the children say what they did, they've actually started to make it more movable. They can move it to other situations. They can transfer it much more easily. Does that make sense? So if I have the kids saying what they're going to do, they're much more able to move it. I'm sorry, I'll just say this next bit. And when I have them say what they're going to do before they do it, they're actually now cueing themselves in to do it. Does this make sense? And see, if we go through that explicit sequence, then we're more likely to get the children moving it to a point where they can take it to other situations. Sorry, Linda, do you want to? Yeah.
remember things and take on board, particularly you've been doing lots of learning style stuff. So the tactile kinesthetic kids are all saying it really helps me when I read it and write it and say it. Because, so that's actually
Yeah.
another justification.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and trying, in fact, yeah, I think that's great. So our sequence is for the children to experience it, so they actually get the feel for doing it. They do it, say what they did and how it helped them. They say what they're going to do, and then see that it helps them. And then we give them the opportunity to transfer it, talk about it, when are they likely to use it, talk about how they'll apply it to harder text, and so on. And it's moving them through that sequence that I'm suggesting you need quite a bit of time to work on. Because what you're wanting the students to do is to gradually link all the strategies together. So if we were looking at the students getting their knowledge ready, we'd be having them imagine actually doing the key actions, being cued to do them here. They say what they did. I imagined what I thought it would say. I said the questions I thought the text might answer, and so on. So they say it. They say how it helped them. Before they begin to read, they say what they're going to do, even before they've seen the text. They say what they're going to do. And then they apply it and gradually automatise it and link it with other strategies. When will I use it? And so on. And the same thing with the meaning-making motor, and so on. So how will I go about planning to do this? How will I actually do this in my teaching? Now, it could be that I'm going to have a plan where I'm first of all going to have the children doing parts of the getting knowledge ready when we're listening and talking about something. Then I'm going to have them doing it in reading when I scaffold them. Then I'm going to have them doing it, saying what they did, and evaluating it, how it helped them. Then I'm going to have them saying what they're going to do beforehand and so on. Now, for me as a teacher, I could start off and say, okay, 1 week I'm going to work on this, get this in place. In a second week, I'm going to move this one up to here, and I'll start bringing in this one. Week 3, and so on. Now, a plan like that can really help me see what I'm going to be targeting in my teaching. Now, are we bound to week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4? Are we? No. Could we in fact have lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3? Of course we could. Could we in fact have lesson 1 for some of the kids? And could we take a bit longer for some of the others here? Yes, of course we could. We can vary this. We can vary this. But one of the things we wouldn't want to vary is that along there. When I was first developing these, and I first developed these for the teachers in the band style network, I thought I was being too